Gary Moore bought Peter Green's 1959 Les Paul for £100. He was 19 years old. Peter Green had already come apart holding that guitar. Stopped playing. Gave it away. Said it was too much. Moore took it. Played it for 40 years. And every night he picked it up, every single night you could hear what that guitar had already cost one man. It had already broken one of the greatest guitarists who ever lived. Moore made it scream anyway. That decision. That choice to carry something cursed. Here's what it did to everyone who heard it. 1979. The song was called Parisienne Walkways. Phil Lynott wrote the words. Gary Moore wrote the bend. One note. Held for what feels like forever. That solo hit number 5 in the UK charts. One guitar solo. In 1979. On the radio, people called radio stations asking what it was. Not the song. The bend. That specific bend at 2 minutes 20. Here's the thing, Moore didn't plan that. He played it live in the studio, first take, and Lynott refused to let him do it again. Said, that's it. That's the one. Because you don't get that twice. You remember hearing this. You didn't know what it was. But you stopped whatever you were doing. That's not technique. That's a man bleeding into a microphone. The mechanics. Everyone talks about his vibrato. Wide, deep, almost operatic. But that's not where it lives. It's what happens right before the vibrato. He'd microbend just under the note first, a tiny, almost imperceptible reach upward. A struggle. Like he wasn't sure he'd get there. That moment of doubt, built into the phrasing. And then the full bend arrived. It sounded earned. Modern players hit the note clean immediately with confidence. Moore made you feel the cost of getting there. He used heavy strings, 13ths, on a 1959 Les Paul already wound tight with history. Every bend was physical work. You can hear the effort. You can't fake effort. That's not vibrato. That's human timing drift applied to pitch. And it's the reason nobody has come close since. 1990. Still got the blues. He was in his late 30s. The hard rock years behind him. And he walked back into the blues like a man who had no choice. That album sold 4 million copies. Nobody expected it. The title track, that solo, there are grown men who will tell you they pulled over on a motorway the first time it came on the radio. Not because it was perfect. Because it sounded like someone admitting something. The attack on that record is violent. Pick hitting the string like he's angry at it. Then the immediate release into that endless sustain, the most famous sustain in blues rock. That's not dynamics. That's chaos and control sharing the same breath. Clapton played the blues with mastery. SRV played it with hunger. Moore played it like he was settling a debt. And honestly, nobody says this out loud, his blues wasn't sadness. It was rage, barely contained. And that's exactly why it hits harder than anything recorded since. The guitar itself. That 1959 Les Paul. Peter Green owned it first. Got it used, a guitar with a misaligned pickup, wound backwards by accident in the factory. That mistake created a sound nobody has ever fully explained. A slightly out-of-phase neck pickup. A tone that was thinner, more nasal, more haunted than any other Les Paul on earth. Green played it until he couldn't. Then Moore had it for 40 years. Then Kirk Hammett bought it in 2002 for almost $2 million. $2 million for what started as a factory mistake and a £100 deal in a pub in Belfast. You can buy the exact model. You can spec every component. You cannot buy what happened to that guitar between 1959 and 2002. There is a word for what that instrument carries, and it is not a guitar term. That is analog emotion. And it's gone. It went with the man. Those of us who grew up with this, we heard something others didn't. You've tried to explain it. You couldn't. Because the feeling isn't about guitar. It's about permission. Gary Moore's playing gave you permission to feel something you had no language for. The grief you couldn't name. The rage you couldn't justify. You've been carrying this for 40 years. Some of you heard Parisian Walkways on a Tuesday night in 1979 and something shifted that never shifted back. That's not nostalgia. That's not just music. That's a man who was willing to show the wound. Every single night. For 40 years. And the question that nobody can answer, that I can't answer, is whether he ever stopped bleeding. Or whether that was the whole point. Gary Moore died in 2011. In his sleep. On tour in Spain. He was 58. The guitar he played for 40 years, the guitar that broke Peter Green, that made grown men pull over on motorways, that sold 4 million copies on a comeback nobody expected, that guitar is now in a glass case in Kirk Hammett's collection. Somewhere in California. Silent. And maybe the most unsettling part of this whole story isn't the playing. It's that we had 40 years to figure out what he was doing. We had every recording, every interview, every attempt at recreation, and we still can't explain it. We still can't get there. That's a tone you can't buy, and apparently you can't keep it either.